This is to help you secure that perfect pass. It's going to go through the key assessment elements to secure the grade you're looking for. So, by now you've been introduced to the exam board marking criteria. Those have been broken down into tasks or challenges for you, and by now you should know that every single one of these items must be finished to a good standard, so a 3 in the feedback that we're giving you, which is A-level standard, and all of them need to be done. Now let's start off with some top tips. Now we've been through these in class, but just to remind you, you must read the book and make detailed notes. The language you need to use and all the keywords are in that book, and you need to use those to write up your projects. Look at lots of examples. It is so easy now with Google Images to find 3 or 4 ideas you like, pull them onto a Word document, analyse them, break them down, and then fuse them together to develop your own style. Use colour effectively. Use the colour scheme designer on the internet to help you balance your colours together and find a colour scheme that you can use throughout all of your documents. Typography. Text shouldn't be boring. If you have a line of text on a page, break it down, highlight the keywords, and make items stand out that should stand out. And get feedback from people. Once you produce something, show your family, show your friends, and ask them to give you some feedback. The only way you develop your skills as a designer is through other people telling you how to move it forwards. So, there's some top tips. Now, let's dive in and have a look at the first piece of work. The personal attributes reports. As you can see here, they've made lots of notes from the book, and they've written loads of paragraphs. 1 paragraph on each personal attribute. It's just about taking ideas and putting them into your own words. Remember that they've referenced their sources of information, and they've used a good range of sources. Don't forget the bit on the health and safety and how you follow legislation. That's important to include. The examiners will be looking for it. Here's your communication presentation. This is going to cover a range of things on using PowerPoint, but also about communication. So you need to have highlighted all the principles of communication. Again, they're all covered in the notebook. You need to pull them out, find keywords. All the barriers of communication, they need to be clearly highlighted. Once you've embedded those into your PowerPoint, those of you moving on to a distinction can talk about how your company communication strategy will solve those problems. The next part is speaker notes. You can't just do a PowerPoint for this, you have to show you understand what you've written about, and those will be in your speaker notes, either in a Word document that you can hold or embedded in the PowerPoint. So there's your communication presentation. Make sure you've got those elements. Let's have a look at the task 3, which is using a range of IT. You've already started that in your Word report and your PowerPoint, but here's a range of key skills you need to show. Here's a good questionnaire. Notice up at the top here the items showing you your contact details. Notice the alignment. Notice a good range of questions. This is a solid merit piece of work. It's neat and tidy. Notice the graphic elements here, the blue line coming through. The background layer, it looks like a circuit board, and then they've put a nice blue shine in there to tie in with the company logo. This is a merit. I would expect a few more questions and a few more tick boxes. It would take a long time to fill this form in on the high street. Now here's a fantastic advert. As you can tell, this is clearly a distinction. All the space used, loads of good key information, great use of typology, breaking it down, good layers in the background, fading blue, images, Excel, a nice solid border, and the language they've used here, all of the key information included on one page. This is clearly a distinction advert. Yours should be similar, not quite as advanced as this if you're going for a pass, but you should use the space and have all the key important information. Here's a user manual. Now, this is a good solid merit, elements of merit, sorry, in terms of using IT. You can see they've used desktop publishing software to good effect, a good master page in the background, neatly aligned, and key images and key text. However, they needed to move it further to get a solid distinction. They could have bulleted listed things that had numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, highlighting the key steps. And unfortunately, the user manual is where you're going to show where you can communicate technically, and the features aren't technical enough on this to show they can write technically. So they need to move up to a merit, they need to find a few more key complicated parts of the software and demonstrate that they can understand and do that. So this is the website. As you can see, it's a nicely laid out website across 3 pages. They've got a nice introduction. The text is broken down into paragraphs. It's all neatly aligned. There's key headings in there. There is a good range of images. I don't have those, so they need to be there for professionalism. And look at the page for the course. It's nicely broken down, the course contents. There's some key information here, a paragraph highlighting that, and some images. As it's a training company, I'd expect to have more pictures of people either training or being trained on the website to introduce people to the company. But this is clearly a solid merit, well on the way to a distinction. Now, here's some CVs. As you can see, these are both really nice graphical CVs. They've got all the key information on, they're well presented, well balanced. I think up here, could have made it just a little bit bigger there, but they look like distinction level CVs. Very proud of them. However, when you read the information on them, they could easily do without the text needs to be a little bit more mature in places. Key dates and key items are missing. Won't take them long to add those, so they're 20 minutes away from getting distinctions here. But you have to have all the key elements in there to make sure you get that top grade. Notice here that these are all clearly done: address, contact details, qualifications. What they need to include is where they worked, where they went to school, and get those key details done. But also these CVs are for a job that you're applying for, so make sure you've included those as well. Now here's some fantastic letters. On the left, very neat and tidy, very professional. Over here is one that's been done and it looks very good. However, it hasn't got the addresses on there. If that was added on there and moved down, it would be perfect. So if these two are fused together, that's clearly going to be a distinction. So yours needs to be there at least as neat and tidy as these to get that pass grade. And the final part of the project is your development plan. Your personal development plan. Here you can see some good work on learning styles, talking about how they learn, identifying all the key features they need to learn for the project, going on for a couple of pages. This is clearly a distinction piece of work, so yours doesn't have to be as long as this, but you have to have these elements. Then identifying all the areas, how they're going to learn them, a log of how they learned them over the weeks and what they did, so very clearly showing that they've got the pass criteria, having a development plan, identifying the key elements, and then moving on to following those key elements and show how they learned what they learned as they went through. So as you can see here, all the elements of the project are in place. This is clearly moving towards a distinction, and the final section is your interpersonal skills, showing that you can put everything together. When you did your software training, your presentation and your job interview, embedding the photos in there and getting that feedback documents from the people who watched you do it, just so the moderators know that you have done that and done it successfully. So overall, that's everything that you need to know to do well on the course to get that pass grade. I've hinted at lots of elements for distinction, and the merit and distinction criteria are the reports, plenty of support on the VLE for those, and you need to do those in detail to get those merits and distinctions. So good luck with that, and I hope you are proud of the work you hand in.